Hello, hello, hello. Jambo and karibu to the Utu podcast, a space for conversation and dialogue around human rights, constitutionalism, democracy, and the rule of law. Today, we're almost marking 15 years since Kenya promulgated a new constitution. And our dialogue and conversation today is going to be around the promise of the constitution. My name is Webster, Nyandika, and with me I have a panel of awesome guests. Maybe if I let them introduce themselves so that we can get to know who they are, what they do, and where they come from before we dive into the conversation. If I start from my immediate left.
Thank you so much, Webster. My name is Darrel Waringa from Gilgil, Morinda Twad. I'm a youth leader, and also at the moment I'm a sales agent. Yeah.
Karibu. Salesperson, eh?
Yeah, salesperson.
Nice. And then on to the next guest, sir.
Okay, my name is Laban Omusundi. I'm a resident within Nakuru City, Nakuru Town East constituency. I'm a serial petitioner, person who exercises what the Constitution talks about. And several friends call me the Umtata of Nakuru because of my history of making several petitions, the High Court, and other relevant bodies.
Noma sana. And on to our final guests, far end.
Thank you, Webster. Hello, everybody, and it's a pleasure to be here. My name is Kimani, Nyoike. I'm an active citizen who works towards justice and making sure that we have a country that is, that we are proud to live in. And I'm happy to be here too.
Karibuni sana, and I'm honored to have you here. So, tukielekea, it's 15 years down the line. We voted in a new constitution. A Gen Z who's 20 years old today, alikuwa 5 years old back then. They did not understand the aspect of the new constitution and they did not understand what a constitution was. But tunawaona wakiwa forefront fighting for the constitution. Darrel, I think you're a Gen Z.
Yeah.
Maybe if you can speak on the involvement of the youth in general in the new constitution 15 years down the line. How's it been? How's the experience?
Personally, I can say that it has really, really failed in terms of, let's say, in terms of security and human rights, because it was ilipitishwa that kutakuwa na vijana watashughulikiwa and there won't be this extrajudicial killing and whatever. But what we are seeing currently in our country, every week we see a lot of youths being wengine wanauliwa, some wanapotezwa, wanabductiwa. Like, it has really failed. Yeah. An
issue of rule of law, and being a chief petitioner, Mr. Laban, and being of the older generation, I believe, not the Gen Z. What do you have to say about the same?
I think from my end, allow me to see it from a different perspective. I think the Constitution, when it came to effect in 2010, it has given us a lot of opportunities. More so, we see the current freedom of expression. People are using social media to express themselves, to bring the necessary change, to question the authority. And I think those are some of the things that the last generation, the older generations, when I was in school, such a kind of things could not happen. So I can see some positive development. I see progressiveness in terms of the advent of the Constitution 2010. And I see as those are some of the fruits of the Constitution that we celebrate about it. Initially, ungesema anything against the president na ulale kwa nyumba. Kuna watu tunaambiwango kwamba kuna watu ambao walikuwa navuka ile, we remember Raila had to kuvuka ile inaitwa aje Lake Victoria kukimbilia to exile. But despite challenges here and there, nini tunaona some of the unbecoming behaviors, but I feel that the Constitution has given us a great space in terms of expression, in terms of questioning the duty bearers, in terms of advancing our views, the public participation. Our views are being factored in, contrary to where elites used to make all the decisions. To see, I see some light, as far as the Constitution is concerned.
Okay, Mr. Kimani, you're an activist. You're a human rights defender. We've seen cases of dissident voices being silenced in this country, both local national voices and international voices. And it's a trend that is happening in East Africa. Is that part of the constitutional promise? Are we moving forward or are we moving backward on that one?
Definitely not. We've made a huge step backwards, maybe many steps backwards, because essentially what the Constitution intended to achieve is not being achieved currently, 15 years later. And I think the main problem that happened, we passed a very good Constitution that Kina Omusundi and Kina Omtata have been able to sort of exercise mainly through the courts. But in the general sense of it, we find that the Constitution 15 years later still struggles to work in many ways. We can see when we said that we did not want a supreme president, we still have a president who's coming in trying to forcefully, subvert, because that's what I'd say, subvert the will of the people and subvert the Constitution. So we handed over the Constitution to the wrong people, to the wrong hands, and expecting different results from them. So generally, they're trying to take us back more and more.
All right, okay. Maybe if we shift focus and go to issues devolution. The devolution aspect was one of the main driving force behind the new constitution. It was supposed to make Kenyans equal. It was supposed to bring, services down to the people. How is that working, especially for the youth? Mr. Laban, devolution and the youth and opportunities and resources. How do you feel that is working?
Okay, when I look at directing the Constitution and see the issues to do with devolution was meant to bring services to the commoners, the ordinaries, and involvement of participation of the people. To some extent, I appreciate there's some good development in terms of youth involvement, in terms of issues to do with the governance, in terms of budget participation, in terms of youth raising the issues that they need to be done. And to some extent, there are several counties that have taken full implementation, listening to the voices of youths. However, we say that the Constitution is a progressive document. It's something that grows. So the necessity of making sure that what was in the Constitution is adhered to the letter is what now we need to do. But I see several positive development with the Constitution. However, there are several challenges whereby some duty bearers wants to take us back to Missouri, and with the know-how, we must make sure that we protect the Constitution and making sure that devolution succeeds appropriately, the way the makers of the Constitution intended in respect to devolution.
Okay. Devolution, resources, the youth, and economic opportunities. You are a young person. How do you feel that is working for you? Are your dreams being achieved 15 years ago, tukivoti constitution? What did you think the avenues there it was going to open for you? Are they open? How do you feel about it? Nakama, they're not open. Who do you think is the biggest impediment to that?
For me, not really. Let's start by, first of all, a story in youth empowerment. Watu wanatudanganya that walitudanganya that okay, we went to school, tulienda tukasoma, and the things wanatuletea hapa kama youth empowerment, to be honest, they are not of any help of us, because sasa sisi tumeenda baka university, mtu anakuletea surely motorbike or vitu za kinyozi. It's not, to be honest, hazitusaidii.
Are there enough employment opportunities for young people? Are young people being considered ile margin? Because I believe Article 43 was mainly to change the lives and improve the lives of young people. And we know that comes through education. Young people in this country are educated. Are there economic and employment opportunities directly offered by the government, which that is empowered by the Constitution? Ama, do you have to go back and figure out for yourselves?
Okay. They're not hakuna ninio na okay, youths, to be honest, youths sahi tumefinyililio to the corner. Ndio maana tulifika a point tukasema enough is enough, and then we decided now it's us against the streets because we are not listened. Hakuna makazi zile kazi zenye tunapata ni rejects. Unapata mtu amekaa like a lot of people wenye wamekuwa hapo kutoka kitambo kwa hizi viti kwa hizi executive ninio wamekuwa hapo, ni wazee wamezekea hapo na sisi vijana hatuna makazi.
Okay. Kimani, I think you lie between a generation. Yeah, really. You're the bridge generation. You saw how bad it was before the Constitution, and you are part of the Constitution in terms of bado you are relying on the Constitution to offer you economic and resource opportunities. Unafeel your shift ya balance imendaje? Are we going positively or negatively to what we intended?
I think we're going atujelewi bado. We've not gotten to the point where we really know what we want to do with our lives as a country, because if I remember well, wakati 2013, that's when the counties came in. There was a lot of hype in terms of the kind of developments inakuja kwa ground. Counties like Wajir got their first tarmacs. You know, a good number of counties you could see that somehow devolution was bringing in something different. But somewhere down the line, ni kama sort of people forgot the dream of what devolution was supposed to achieve. First, it became a war between the national government and the counties in terms of the kind of revenue they should be getting, sort of the share of the national revenue they should be getting. Chapili, it becomes, counties become beggars, generally. They get given their monies within the last quarter of what they should be implementing. So, in as much as we could blame that corruption has also come down, we also know that this has also been engineered. Sort of, are they engineering the constitution to fail? Are they engineering for the county governments to fail? Are they engineering it so that they can be able to have control, sort of political control of governors or counties? Because essentially counties should be more and more independent. I believe 15 years down the line, we should be giving more resources to the county. Actually, it's only the counties that should be contributing just a small share of the resources to the national government, not the other way around.
Oh. Yeah. Okay, inequality of resource distribution, centralization of power. I think hizo ndio vitu zenye it was the Constitution was meant to achieve. We were supposed to balance this. Take power out of one center, distribute it back to the people. Take the resources out of one center, distribute it back to the people. But be 15 years down the line, kitu yenye nime understand from this, it's called devolved corruption. We've devolved corruption. We've opened more avenues za watu kukula. Kitambo watu walikuwa wanakula State House peke yake. Siku hizi watu wanakula State House and 47 other mini State Houses. Laban.
Let me take the issue of youth empowerment, the so-called youth empowerment. Actually, what with the current world we are talking about, you cannot give me the so-called vinyozi nini. Those are what we call rubbish. Those are outdated stuffs. And I think our leaders, we should hold our leaders accountable more, so the governors, so that now they should think in terms, they should look directly with the current technology. Currently, people are using AI to make a lot of money. But when you go to the current polytechnic that we are having, utakuta watu wanatumia zile vitu zile za my father, my great father, ule kuka yangu alikuwa na zile charani zile za tene. They cannot produce wholesome staffs, ni ile manual ama kama ni ile stima kidogo kidogo zina produce. But you look at China, some of the first world countries, people are embracing technology in terms of using mass production and marketing their staffs using technology. So there's a lot of corruption in terms when it comes to employment. Unakuta kwamba the people who are being employed katika county government ni wale watu ambao those recycling, they are not giving the young people to exercise their creativity. Na the way they are managing the resources wanatumia ile, they are embracing the old way of thinking. They are not aligning with themselves the current challenges that are affecting the current the challenges that are affecting the current generation. On top of that, when it comes to mambo ya employment, let's talk about nomination of nominated MCS. Unakuta kwamba watu wanalete magirlfriend wao, such a kind of stuff, people, relatives, people who move who are supposed to represent the youth, who are supposed to be top up in terms of gender balance, ni wale watu ambao who are connected to the elites. Wakiingia pale kwa assembly, their value, what they are adding to the assembly is not there, it's not being felt katika ground. So I think those are some of the corruption that I see when it comes to 30% that is meant for youth and PWD. Those are some of the things that the county government should be doing in terms of awarding tenders kwa watu ili waweze kukua empowered, hata nao waweze kudrive zile V8 zenye wana drive huko. But you find that instead of ku-empower in terms of giving them 30% that's meant for them, wanawapatia vinyozi, vitu za kunyoa nini na nini. I think that's where the problem is. That's what I call corruption, and that's something that we should actually make sure that it changes absolutely for better.
All right. Yeah, all these things I hear from what this conversation is going is political involvement and political influence, because it's the politicians who have power and upfront mandate to work around the constitution and to work with the constitution. Under political representation, tuko na 47 counties. I think we vote for nine elected, 9 and 7. Oh, 6. Sorry.
6.
Sorry, we vote for 6 elected positions per county. How do you feel about representation? Is that under-representation, over-representation?
Ngori, because first, let's talk about political parties. You know, like the way most of the political parties we have briefcase, regardless of how big they are, you find that they're controlled by just one person or a few people or a few cadre of people, to the point where they cannot even run their own internal elections. So you find that through the sort of a political party, especially one that we first fund as taxpayers, secondly, they have 30% of the monies that they're given by the exchequer to be able to provide for marginalized groups. So that is women, youth, and PWDs. So such kind of money is supposed to first help even people within their own parties who are aspiring to be leaders. But most of the time, what we see from these parties is patronage. You find for you to get a nomination, first you have to lazima upeleke kitita. You know, you have to give someone money, bribe someone so that you get a certificate. If not, I don't know whether this is a good platform to speak about it as well. Yeah. There are also what they call sexual transmitted positions. So you find that for a youth or for someone or a woman, ladies, to be able to get to that place where they're able even to get a simple nomination, they have to sort of do things that enyewe ile kweli ukiulizwa it's not right. But now we see it's happening even in political rallies. You know, the same thing that happens within political parties is now coming out in the open. We can see it. So I think if you look at how, because through a political party is where leadership is made and people get elected to parliament, for instance, if these political parties remain that way, then they become sort of, they're not bridging young people PWDs, people who need to get into these leadership positions, they're not providing them that platform. So it becomes...
Okay, my take, we talked about 6 positions that are we being overrepresented or not. When I look at the makers of the Constitution, I can say those people are genius. From my take, they were genius. Actually, and when I read the Constitution, each and everybody had some roles to do within the... Yeah, kama ni president akona kazi yake, women rep akona kazi yake, the so-called senators, and which was meant to protect devolution. The MCS, they had their mandate. However, I can say this: it's not, from my end, it's not about representation. The issue is how we implement. It's now where the problem is, and some of the duty bearers, they have misused those positions. As my colleague has said, ya kwamba ukitaka kupata nomination is kama we ni msichana lazima ufungulie server watu wengine, unfortunately. Na kama una hiyo, there are 2 things hapo, kuna kwanga ni pesa ama ufanye ile maneno ingine, which is so much unfortunate. I think this thing kama ingekuwa inaenda based on merits, based on what you can do. And now this is something now whereby now we require the so-called public participation. Hizo nomination hazifanywangi public participation. Yes. Something that we should actually look into and make appropriate intervention. Make sure kwamba wale ambao ni duty bearers, wale ambao tume-elect 6 of them, they don't misuse the powers that we have given them, courtesy of our Constitution. But those 6 positions, we are not being overrepresented. They are correct. In fact, I appreciate the way the architecture of that Constitution made it to be so. Yeah.
Hapo sawa. Ni fundi alichora nyumba mzuri, lakini fundi alijenga nyumba na fundi kupaka rangi wakakuja wakafanya mambo yao. Yeah. The Constitution, gender and representation. You're a lady. Do you feel represented? It was supposed to give women a voice. It was supposed to give PWDs a voice. The Constitution was supposed to give marginalized communities a voice.
Yeah.
Do you feel represented?
And not really, because you see, kwa hizi viti walipatia, the youths were not represented, to be honest. Also the PWD, kulikuwa na, okay, hatuwezi sema kulikuwa na fairness hapo, because hizi viti mingi sana unaona ni wale wa, okay, hata kama ni females ni wale wa kongwe, not the energetic females. Yeah. So we were not, we don't feel represented. Yeah.
And what do you feel? What do you feel can be done about that? Because it's, you know, that is a conversation that needs to have a solution.
Yeah.
Because every single time we come with a system to represent our ladies and to give equality to all people, and still you feel you are being left behind, I think it's pia nyinyi vizuri mtuposaidia solution, because maybe people from this side are not getting the picture.
I think empowerment. These female youths, people wanafaa empowerment, especially kwanza huko hivyo kwa vijijini, because bado kuna ile mentality ya female should remain, hata sahi, that is what is going on right now on the internet, that female should remain at home doing hizo machores za nyumbani. I think ile kitu inahitajika sahi ni kuelimisha wasichana wengi, especially wasichana, meaning the young women, waelimishwa the importance of, kwanza easy importance of these seeds. Tunafaa tuwe na the young female watu represent hapo juu. Story kama tuseme tuanze na story za sahi hakuna sanitary pads, lakini kama tungekuwa na kiongozi mzuri hapo juu ambaye ni mdogo angeweza kutuongelelea, au wenye wako hapo juu, acha tuseme kwanza wamemaliza menstruation cycle yao, ndio maana hawatuongelelei, ndio maana hizi vitu hazifiki shule, hazifiki kwa mtaani. So I think it's really actually this the young women need to be empowered. Yeah.
All right. Pasawa. Now, on to another hot segment.
Maybe just before you have asked the issue of work, what kind of intervention should be put in place? Number one, as unfortunately, from the beginning, these people ni wale ambao were connected, ambao wanapatiwa hizo viti. So kama hawatafanya ile ambayo inastahili, the young ladies, the youth should recall them. Unfortunately, there's no law to recall them. But now I petition Senate and they have already come up with a law of how to recall them. Kama wezi fanya ile kazi ambao walipelekwa huko, wachane hiyo kazi. We recall them so that we can put up proper people who can do what they are supposed to do. Na kama hawajui ile ambao waliwapeleka huko, wanastahili kuelimishwa so that now they should do what they should supposed to be do. Like kwa mfano youth representative. What is the purpose? Anastahili kuhakikisha kwamba 30% ambayo is meant for youth inakuwa achieved. 30% ambayo is meant for women tenders inakuwa realized. Not only at county level, but even in the private sectors.
Yes.
They should respect the law. And that is what the representative of gender top-up, the representative of the youth, the representative of PWD should be doing katika assemblies, katika national assemblies. Yeah. Kufanya audit hizo vitu zote.
Okay. Actually, I was nilikuwa nataka tukuja to that angle with my next question to Kimani. Budget advocacy and budget policy, civic education, public participation. Hizi ni vitu zote zenye ziko enshrined in the constitution and they are very clear in the constitution. Do you feel zinatumika to the maximum? Do you feel like the youth understand what the constitution offers them? And do you feel these elected personalities ama personnel in elected positions understand their job descriptions? Na because tunasema 2027 we planning to put in more youth. Hata youth tukiweka pale, will they understand their job descriptions and their mandates?
Hizo ni maswali mingi into one. Because now if you look at budget formulations na nini, that's a whole different context because what I think has really happened is when people are framing the way they want to lead or they want to be led, the way we'd want to see how things progress, it's not what we have right now. Right now, most of the things we're struggling with is bureaucracy. You've mentioned about civic education. How many times have you had or have you seen any government official conducting civic education? And yet they have those budgets. They get those budgets every year. Secondly, if it's public participation, it's done mainly as a formality because I've been able to attend some. I've seen how they are run. I've seen how MCAs take over the activities themselves. I've seen how the ward admins don't even get a chance to exercise what they should be exercising according to the constitution. That is in terms of collecting what is really required from the ground. So you find public participation itself, the people within, the people with power or the people with the money or regards the people who sort of have the political arm or muscle to do it, they usually come with their own prescribed projects on the ground. Ati sasa this time around tutafocus na mulika mwizi na drainage, na the citizen has not gotten a chance to exercise their power. So in the sense is that first I believe that if it's budget creation, it should start from the village, and that's the reason why we needed to have village admins. They have never been appointed in many counties across Kenya. Kwanza hata kuna county konao kweli, I don't know if there is, but they should be. These people are the ones who live within the community. They can collect data, how much, what kind of percentage is that from what the county is getting. So the citizen is left out in most of the participation, most of the money actually. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. As a youth, public participation. Do you attend public participation? Do you understand public participation? Does the youth know that upon their power lies? They think they can only influence politics after 5 years. Yeah.
Okay, personally, I'll say kulingana na mimi, I attended the previous one, county, and that's the only public participation I've attended. And mainly it's because hapo mbeleni I really sikuwa naona umuhimu yake. But the moment now I started now tukaanza story na civic education na nini, hapo ndo nilijua the importance of public participation, because hapo ndio pesa zetu mingi zinapotelelea. So the youths really need to wanafaa wapewa civic education to understand that public participation is very, very important. Yeah.
Mr. Laban, when ni gwiji kwa hii maneno, can you take us through, because it is not only public participation. After public participation, there are the other steps that ensure mnasikika. There's writing of umetuambia ni gwiji wa petitions and memoranda. How can you involve the community, especially young people, because they're the majority in terms of numbers? How can you involve them, do civic education around it? Now you make sure that they exercise their constitutional right of public participation and the rest.
Okay. I agree, and I want to subscribe. I want to associate with myself with my friend. The way he has put it clearly, public participation to some extent has become a formality. No, we can tell the young people to participate, but unfortunately, there's no appropriate outcome. And ile kitu ambacho nimeona ni kwamba vijana we come and propose some good stuffs nini blah blah, vitu zote zinaenda, but kuna mahali ambapo inaitwa kwa supplementary budget, and this is where now the problem is. Kwa supplementary budget ni ile MCA anakaa na ward admin wanabalisha kila kitu, zile vitu wanahakikisha kwamba hiyo pesa inakuwa directed to zile projects ambazo wanaweza pata some cash out. Zile projects ambazo you cannot, kwa mfano Maramu, the roads, is something that you cannot account for it. So hiyo process hiyo wanapeleka katika projects za aina hiyo. So unless we come up with appropriate measures, appropriate intervention katika wakati wa supplementary, wanapofanya supplementary, everything should be subjected to public participation, so that now wakitaka kuchange tunajua kwamba wana change nini. That's where the issue is. Now I've seen several young people wakiparticipate katika mambo na hiyo budget inapotoka, inapopitishwa, inapelekwa kwa assembly, inasomwa, inapitishwa, but later on hiyo vitu wanasemanga supplementary budget, hapo that's where the evil is. So at the end of the day, after the end of the year, unakuta kwamba what is being implemented katika ground is not what they proposed. However, I can say this, the other MCAs, the other wards zingine ambazo wale viongozi ambao who have some common sense, they use their common sense and who really want to represent the interest of the people. Actually, they have really worked upon to make sure kwamba zile vitu ambavyo wananchi walipropose zinapita. So that is the challenge. But the majority of people katika county assemblies iko shida. But I believe kuna some other counties kama Makueni ambazo wameweka everything is in open whatever. I think the former governor aliweka some structures ambazo they are absolutely transparent in terms of what you propose. Kuna ile feedback, mnakuja mnaelewa kwamba tulielewana ni hii na hii. Yes, fine. Implement sawa. So next time tuna implement nini? I think those the county ama the duty bearers should take some lessons from such a kind of county, so that now we can make sure kwamba devolution succeeds. Devolution achieves the intended purpose that it was meant for. But unless we look directly with the current challenges that are affecting us, the so-called public participation, hata ukijua ile inaitwaje budget sako, ujue hizo vitu zote participate. But now if we are not attending to the current challenges, hizo vitu zinakuwa reduced to nothing. Zinakuwa ni paperwork, something that I usually call in wanga natumia ile jina mbaya ambayo sitaki kutumia hapa. But that is how, unfortunately, we may find ourselves the so-called devolution is not achieving the intended purpose. However, I believe in devolution. Anyone who dares try to interfere with devolution, I'll work with him. And that's why so many times you see me moving kwa Senate, making several petitions, moving to court, making several petitions, so that now devolution stands forever.
Very nice, very nice. And now on to our final segment, quick fire. 15 years hadi mali tumefika. Where do you see us being in the next 15 years constitutionally? And what role are you playing as an active citizen to make sure that we get there?
Okay, I think if the constitution imechenjiwa hapo kidogo tu mahali tunataka, Kenya can be in a better place. And also ikichenjiwa because nasikia kuna zile terms za presidential whatever zinataka kuongezwa. I don't think hapo haitatusaidia, to be honest. Hapo itakuwa inarudisha Kenya nyuma na hakuna mahali tutasonga. We shall still stuck on there. Tutabaki tu hapo. So I think ikiundwa tu kidogo tu ibadilishwe, wacha zile mambo zenye ziko kama hizo stories za our security as youths and whatever, hizo judicial killings zikiisha, I think Kenya will be ita top up place kubwa sana. So if wakiamend hizo tu mambo hizo tu zenye zinafanya Kenya irudi nyuma, hizo like let's say like hizo wizi zinaendelea hizo za CDF, mi hata sijui CDF nini inafanyanga, to be honest, because hapo ndio wizi bila aibu iko. Hizo vitu zitolewe, I think Kenya tutakuwa on a better place.
Right. Mr. Kimani?
True. I concur. Because 15 years gone, nilienda kupigia kura hiyo katiba. I was there in that queue. I think hata Laban alikuwa.
Yeah.
And it was an awesome moment because actually, I think that was the last time I voted. I went to a polling booth. Because essentially now, 15 years later, we've seen the challenges. We know where it pinches. Tunajua shida ya katiba ni gani. For me, it's mainly the people that we've entrusted to implement it. For me, I'd call on to Kenyans, saizi, if they want the next 15 years to work for them within the constitution, it's important for them to grasp the spirit and the letter of the constitution. Don't just quote different articles, different chapters and all that. It's good for us all to sit down and reflect. Sit down and reflect around it. What does this article say? What does it mean to my livelihood? What journey has the country walked so that we arrived to this particular article? For instance, say chapter 1, for instance. When you talk about what sovereign power of the people should be, then we have to be the people who remind ourselves that without me, there is no constitution. There's no government, there's no taxes, there's no country. So lazima tujipende as a people, because sovereign power starts with one individual and then it spreads to us within the communities we live in, within our families, within our larger context, constituencies, counties and all that, and then we form a republic. So because we have this republic and we don't have any other republic, someone said that if there's no country for me, there's no country for you. The first thing we should say is that if the only thing I have to do is protect my country, not only for me, but for the rest of the people, be the people who are propelling the country forward. Because if we do not abide by the constitution, then we can as well as call ourselves a banana republic. So for me, going forward within the 15 years, it's for Kenyans to clean their house, make sure that the people you elect, people who are credible enough, people who you would feel proud to represent you, and people who you can hold accountable, people who respect the constitution, people who feel the pain of mwananchi, in deep sense of it, not being coming out saying that they're going to conduct something like state capture, which is what is really disturbing the nation today. And yet, when they get to power, they're the same people who are capturing the state. So when will he ever get closure on that? When will we ever get a full report? Because state capture has also captured our constitution. So if we cannot free ourselves from that, then we can as well start saying we'd rather repeal the constitution to rudi ya Lancaster, maybe itasaidia mabwenyenye, sisi wananchi tuendelee kusafa. But anyway, it's up to the people.
All right.
All sovereign power.
Okay. Mr. Laban?
Okay, I think I just refer back from what Kimani said, that Article 1 of the Constitution, the Constitution talks about the power belongs, the sovereign power belongs to the people. We are the people. And if we can realize the power that the Constitution has vested within us, then I think that will be the beginning point to make sure that we make Kenya to become Singapore. We make Kenya to become the England. We make Kenya to become America. We make Kenya to become one of the greatest states in Africa. To me, I see it, and during the last year, the protesters demanded a lot of change within the Republic of Kenya. And that's where the power is. Despite the killing, despite whatever, I can see some positive development, and to which the president akaanza kutetemeka. In fact, I used to watch every time the president gives the speech, alikuwa anatetemeka, at you could see the body language. Yeah, that's where the power belongs. If we can exercise that power that belongs to us. Me, I don't want to blame the duty bearers wherever they are doing, because mimi mkiniweka pale, kama kuna checks and balance, I will do the worst. But kama kuna checks and balance from the people themselves, and the people wao ndo kusema, wanasema pana, wanaambia president, vuta watu wote na anavuta. Vuta toa hii wote anavuta. Finance bill usiasent, ninakataa kuingia ndani. And the way those people walikuwa na just stamp nini. I think there's a lot to borrow from what Gen Z did from the last year. They were exercising what in line with what you call Article 1, through elected or directly. So those are the opportunities that we have in the Constitution, that we can make sure that things work correctly and to make our country a better and better and better for all. And I feel this is what I usually say. Lamentation was written long time ago in the Old Testament. The Kenyans should stop lamenting. We are living the New Testament times. Yes. And the current times talks about hope. That hope has been brought out by the current Constitution. Let's exercise the opportunities that are there in the Constitution and make Kenya a little heaven for us all.
Yeah, asante sana. That has been it. Katiba at 15, a very heated conversation here with a panel of very well educated and very well represented Kenyans. I hope you enjoyed and you are educated by this session, because the month of August, we as tribeless youth celebrate the Katiba. And this year's theme is the promise 15 years later. So for this whole month of August, we'll be celebrating the Katiba. Make sure you follow us on our social media pages at tribeless youth, hashtag Uwazi na Uwajibikaji, and at Uwazi Festival, because on the 27th of this month of August at Nyayo Gardens in Nakuru City, we will be hosting and holding the 3rd edition of the Uwazi Festival, a celebration of the constitutional promise. Make sure you turn up pale kwa ground, because there'll be mad performances by some of the greatest artists in this nation who uphold the constitution and human rights. We will have crazy sessions there around education, around justice, around technology, around art, and it will be a session that you don't want to miss out. So make sure you follow us on Make sure you follow us on our social media pages at Tribeless Youth and hashtag Uwazi na Uwajibikaji and hashtag Uwazi Festival for this and more information. I've been your host, Webster Nyandika, and this is the Utu Podcast. Asanteni sana.